Hey, how's it going YouTube? This is SilverBeanie here, bringing you guys week 10 team builder for the UBL season 1. The CRYSTAL PALOSSANDS this week are taking on the Portage Herdiers and coach Point Blank, aka Kurt. In a very in what is going to be a very close match, and it is actually also going to be the deciding match of our fate. Currently, right now, we are 4-5. We did pick up a loss in the last week's match. If you missed it, sorry, spoilers, but you can definitely go check it out. Check out last week's match, week 9. But this is week 10. We've got another scary team, another awesome team that we built. But this week is very, very important that we play not so much well. We need to play well, but we need to sort of stay on point and focused. Because this week, our opponent is also 4-5. And depending on who gets the outcome, so whoever wins this match between myself and Point Blank will be more likely part of the finals. You know, we could like playoffs. So if we lose this match, we're out. Like, we've got one more week, but we're out. We got no chance. All we could do is potentially maybe claim differential or something. I don't know. But we cannot make playoffs unless we win this match. Unless something crazy happens next week, we cannot win. Like, we cannot make playoffs. So unless we do incredibly well next week and like someone else does terribly bad, we're not going to make it. So a lot of pressure, a lot riding on this team. I'm going to talk you guys through it. So up first, we got a very scary team. Before we go any further, if you want to show your support for the CRYSTAL PALOSSANDS, and if you are a proud member of the Silver Legion, then definitely make sure you hit that like button down below. So definitely consider subscribing if you're new and you'd like to see more of this. But with all that rubbish boringness out of the way now, the team. So my opponent, you can see it all chilling here on my left, your left, my right. You know what I mean. So Jirachi was their round 1 pick. Scary. Why would they pick that? Jirachi is very difficult to prepare for. Steel Psychic type, SareneGrace, which basically, if you don't know what SareneGrace does, any moves that have a secondary effect get increased. I think the effects like chance are doubled. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, effect chances are doubled. So, for an example, if it was to say use Ironhead. Ironhead has what, like a 20% chance to flinch? Let me see, 30% chance to flinch. So it has a 60% chance to flinch me. 60%. That is insane. So we gotta be careful with that. Things like Body Slam as well, chance to paralyze. Ancient Power it gets as well, so we can get a boost. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Base 100 across the board, its stats. It's very tricky to prepare for because it can be bulky, it could be offensive, it could be specially offensive, it could be defensive, specially defensive, speedy. You know, it could be a wall, it could be a setter, it could be whatever. It's like Mew, although Mew is even more trickier. But it's so difficult to prepare for. I have no doubt it's coming, 100%. We've got to keep an eye on it, and I've got to get rid of it as soon as possible. I'm expecting it to more likely be choiced as well, choice scarfed. That's usually pretty standard with Jirachis, but we'll see. We will see. Moving on, we've got Garchomp. Now, Garchomp is one that I'm honestly actually more scared about. It's the one Pokemon across his entire team that I am more scared about anything else. So Garchomp, Ruskin, guarantee it's gonna have Ruskin. Base 108 HP, 130 attack, 102 speed. This thing is a monster. Typically, Garchomps are usually choice scarfed, or they are like Lumberry or things like that for because they have outrage. I expect this thing to be choice scarfed 100%, and I expect it to 100% be brought. I need to get rid of this thing as soon as possible. I'll talk about like some like counters in a bit, but I don't have a lot for this. Yeah, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky, but I've got to get rid of it. Dragon Claw, Earthquake, you know, standard stuff, but it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. Shaymin next. Natural Cure. SHAYMIN-SKY is banned, so it cannot be brought. So I ain't got to worry about that. But Shaymin, another Pokemon, base 100 across the ball. Very scary. Grass, like pure grass type. Typically, they're usually either leftovers or life orb. You know, they're either defensive or offensive, or they're not really like known to speed and stuff. Hidden power, fire, earth power, seed flare, you know, synthesis, rest, protect, stall, things like that. I'm not too worried about Shaman. I'm really not too worried about taking any hits from it. I'm more worried about taking it down, especially if it's bulky, but overall not too worried about Shaman. Slowbro now. Slowbro is very scary, mainly just because it's so defensive and bulky. It gets Regenerator, which is more likely what it will bring. But base 95 HP, 110 defense, 100 special attack, and 80 special defense. This thing is very bulky. Yeah, I'm expecting this thing to come 100%. Most likely going to be like leftovers, defensive, maybe Calm Mind, Stall set, maybe like Toxics, Gold, Side Shock, something like that. I do expect this 100% to be brought. I'm not too keen on it. I have counters though, so I'm not too worried, but I'm not too keen on it really. I'm not too worried about taking hits. Again, it's one of those Pokemon that I'm more worried about taking down, because it could literally just sit in front of you and wall. So if it starts setting out Calm Mind, we are going to be in trouble. But moving on, Aromatisse. Aromatisse, again, is very much like Garchomp, but the opposite in a way. This thing is just a special destruction. I am, to an extent, a little bit worried. I'm not bringing, you may notice, I'm not bringing the Blade at all. Now, my opponent may think I will bring the Blade for the Aromatisse, because it obviously counters it 100%. But I'm not bringing the Blade. Multiple reasons. He has too many counters for it, and I just didn't see the point, like, overall. Like, with things like the Mega Banette, the Garchomp, you know, he has too many counters that could hurt it. I just didn't see it was viable this week. But it's going to be scary, because if this thing starts setting up Calm Minds, we are going to be in so much trouble. So much trouble. Because I think if it gets up 2 Calm Minds, 1 we might get around with, but 2 Calm Minds, I think it pretty much sweeps one way or another. So we've got to be careful. Got to be careful. Banette, the Mega Banette. Mega Banette. Very scary monster. Prankster. I am terrified. Fortunately, we have one counter. We have Tapu Fini. I will be bringing Tapu Fini, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit. But Prankster obviously allows it to, any status moves get priority. So they'll guarantee attack first. So Will-O-Wisp, Thunderwave, Toxics, they are going to all be hit first before I can make my hit. So I've got to be extremely careful with that. Base 165 attack, absolute monster. Sucker Punch hurts big time. I think this thing also gets knockoff. Yeah, it does. So I've got to be careful with that as well. It's not too fast, fortunately. It's only base 75, and it's not too bulky, but its attack stat is way up there, so I've got to be careful with that. Zapdos. Zapdos is an interesting one. He did have Xurkitree on his team, but he actually dropped Xurkitree, I think, effective week 8. He dropped Xurkitree, which is also his Z user, so he doesn't have a Z user at all on the team, which is fortunate. But Xurkitree was his Z user, but he dropped it. He dropped it for week 8 and picked up Zapdos instead. Personally, I think that's wrong. I don't think he should have done that. I think Xurkitree is 20 times better than Zapdos. Yes, Zapdos gets you the flying type, you know, so you've got ground immunity. Okay, cool. But Xurkitree, like, if it's scarfed and you switch it in at the right time, you can just sweep. You know, it's such a it's so, like, oh man, I love Xurkitree. Anyway, we're not talking about Xurkitree. Zapdos. 98 HP, 90 attack, 85 defense, 125 special attack, 90 special defense, and 100 speed. Overall, it's pretty bulky, and it's pretty fast and pretty offensive. Volt Switch is going to be a thing. I'm expecting Thunderbolt. Hidden Power Ice, more than likely. Maybe even something like Hidden Power Fire, maybe to counter some things. Who knows? Roostall, going to be a thing. It's going to happen. But Zapdos I'm not too worried about. It's just as long as I get my rocks up, which we'll talk about in a bit. Sneasel. Sneasel is going to be a problem because Sneasel is very fast. Base 115 speed, 95 attack. If this thing is banded, things like Ice Shard and Knockoff is going to hurt. It's going to hurt like serious pain hurt. I'm expecting it to be brought. I do expect it to come for things like my Crocodile. Because an Ice Shard hurts. Like, it does about 50% on choice banded, which is a lot. We do have some counters, but I do have to be worried about this thing, so I've got to be careful. Garbodor, not too worried about Garbodor. It's pretty offensive, base 95 attack. Otherwise, it's based like sort of 80 across all of its defenses. Not too worried about Garbodor. It's going to be a bit annoying to take down. I mean, most likely it's going to be anything like it's going to be a spikes setup with regular spikes and toxic spikes. Gunk shot, you know, Steve bomb. It could be a wall, maybe paint split and leftovers and stuff, just be annoying. I could see that. But honestly, overall, Garbodor, I'm not too worried about. I've got several counters for Garbodor, like within other Pokemon, so I'm not too worried about it. Primate is another one. I'm not too worried about Primate. I expect it to be Choice Scarfed if it does get brought, because it's only base 95 speed. Its defenses are, so I'm not worried about that. Attack stat 105, so it's really decent there. Most likely that will be Choice Scarfed. Close combat, U-turn, like it gets Gunk Shot, which is quite nice. It gets the elemental punches. It also gets Earthquake, which is scary. But Primate, I'm not too worried about Primate. I'm really not. If it gets brought, it gets brought. I mean, it does counter quite a few members of my team, but overall, I'm not worried at all. Next and last, we have the Pyroar. Pyroar, again, not too worried about it. Base 86 HP, 109 special attack, 106 speed. Overall, not worried about it. It's just not. I'm not worried about it. It's gonna hurt if it gets us some hyper voices, but taking it down, it's gone. I ain't worried. First, that was loud. But let's talk about our team now, because I need to cut that down because we ramble a lot. Anyway, up first, you can see it. We got Cradilly. Cradilly, the Spirit Vine, is coming back. Beautiful, beautiful monster. Rocking Storm Drain, obviously. Leftovers with Rock Slide, Earth Power, Giga Drain, and Stealth Rocks. So the idea is to get Rocks up as soon as, because his only hazard remover is Zapdos. So once Zapdos is gone, any kind of hazards are here to stay, which is awesome. It's gonna be hazards are gonna be very important for this match. Not so much rocks, more another type. We'll answer that. I was thinking about maybe losing Giga Drain for Swords Dance, which is actually which is quite interesting, because we're a bit of a mixed set. Obviously, we've got Rock Slide and we've got physical and special hits. I was thinking of maybe adding Rock Slide because he doesn't get Calm Mind, which is, at least I don't think he does. Maybe he does, and I just completely overlooked it. No, he doesn't. I didn't think he did. But yeah, no. So I was thinking about adding Swords Dance because if I get in a situation where I'm up against that Aromatisse and it's starting to Calm Mind in my face, I can just Swords Dance it. And 2 Rock Slides, depending on obviously how much damage I've got left, how much health I've got left, then 2 Rock Slides can potentially just take it out, especially if I get fortunate and get a flinch. So I'm not too worried, but I did think about it and I decided against it purely because the Aromatisse, like I have other counters, plus it's very situational based. I thought Giga Drain is much more beneficial, even though again Giga Drain only really hits the Slowbro. Spirit Vine is a direct counter to Slowbro. Slowbro comes out, Spirit Vine comes in, and it's pointless me having him without having any kind of hit moves that can hit him back. So I thought, you know what, I'd rather have Giga Drain. Earth Powers for the Jirachi, and maybe the Garbodor and the Pyro if we get in that situation. Rock Slide obviously is pretty much for everything, just to get damage, mainly for the Zapdos, because we countered the Zapdos as well perfectly. So Spirit Vine's going to be very crucial. I just realized that we're on Spirit Vine and not... Hang on, let's go back. Lumiere! Why did I click on him first? I don't know. Lumiere is finally making a return. I think we haven't used it for the last 2 weeks, and I've missed it. I've missed Lumiere. Lumiere, Chandelure, Choice Scarf once again. This week we're bringing Flame Body, not Flash Fire, because the only fire type he has is Pyro, and I do not see it coming, so Flame Body makes more sense. Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Hidden Power Ice, and Psychic. Psychic is there for the Primate and the Garbodor. Depending on how especially bulky that Garbodor is, Psychic is a guaranteed OHKO. Shadow Ball is a 2-hit KO on the Jirachi. Flamethrower, 2-hit KO, depending on, again, how bulky. If it's not bulky at all, and if it's just offensive, then a Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, kills, which is awesome. So that's going to be very, very nice and juicy. Hidden Power Ice. Unfortunately, Hidden Power Ice only does about 60-70% to Garchomp. And obviously, whatever he goes for kills me. So, and the other thing as well, Garchomp, if it is Scarfed, guarantees to outspeed. So it is very tricky. But I figured it was best because if I can get fortunate enough where if it's not Scarfed or if it's slow enough, then Hidden Power Ice could potentially just pick up a little kill. So I figured it was better on there than nothing, you know? Moving on now, Destiny, our beautiful Tapu Fini. This week, I'm actually bringing a slightly different set to something I've never brought before. I'm actually quite excited for this. One thing we're bringing is a new item, which I've never ever used before. We're going to use a Terrain Extender. So if you don't know, Terrain Extender is an item that you can only be given to the Tapus, Fini, Bulu, Coco, and Lele. And what it does is it basically extends the terrain from 5 turns to 8. So it's similar to like I think it's like Smooth Rock and I don't know, the other one, the weather rock items that you can damp rock, I think, as well, and there's some others, which basically just increase the amount of turns that the weather's on for. Same sort of thing, but it's for the terrain. I thought this was actually a really good idea because it basically guarantees an extra 3 turns with terrain, and if that Bennett wants to come out, it cannot try and will-o-wisp me. It can't try and hit me with a toxic or a T-wave. So I thought the terrain extender actually is so good. Until that Bennett is gone, Tapu Fini, I have to try and keep it alive as long as possible. I also have to get terrain up as quick as possible. So if the terrain ends, I need it to back up. Terrain is going to be very crucial that I keep it rolling. Otherwise, we're going to be in a situation where he's going to have to start burning things, and I'm going to start getting crippled. So it's going to be very tricky, but we've got to make certain counters and certain predictions to try and get Fini back in. But Ring of Moonblast, Ice Beam, and Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is if I'm up against that. Obviously up against the Bennett, 2-hit KO it. It also 2-hit KOs the Jirachi. Moonblast is a 2-hit KO on the Garchomp. If I can get a +1 Carmine off, Ice Beam guarantees to kill. So we've got a lot of counters. Obviously this thing is also pretty much a counter to Sneasel. It's a counter to a lot of things. Obviously if that Garbodor comes out, we have to get the heck out of here. But this week Destiny is physically bulky to the max because he has a lot of physical offensive hits. But if that Jirachi wants to start iron heading me, I do not want to appreciate it. So let me just check. Does the terrain? I need to see something as well about the terrain, but I'll look into that after. We're also bringing back Gasteric, our beautiful Galvantula, with that Life Orb, Compound Eyes, Thunder, Bug Buzz, Hidden Power Ice, and Sticky Webs. This is honestly going to be the saving grace. If we don't get webs up, we're pretty much going to lose. If that Garchomp is scarfed, webs have to be up. They have to be up because Garchomp outspeeds my entire team. I have nothing that can outspeed it at all, unless I get several +1 speeds up. But Sticky Webs is going to be crucial. I have to get speed. I have to get my webs up. I have to get them up that when Garchomp is not out on the field. And then Thunder, Bug Buzz is just there to kind of chip him around, and then Hidden Power Ice is there so that I can one-on-one take on that Garchomp if I can get its speed down. So it's going to be very, very crucial that this happens. So otherwise we lose. So it's going to be scary. It's going to be risky stuff, but it could work. Red Storm, our beautiful Mega Gyarados, is making another return. Again, a lot of my team is very much the same each week, just because it's so good, and they have so many moves and types that abilities that counter my opponents each week. And they're just obviously they're kind of my core. So you will see a lot of the same team coming back over and over again. But this week we're bringing no Earthquake. We're bringing Waterfall, Crunch, Ice Fang, and Dragon Dance. If I can get a +1 off, we can start sweeping. Maybe even +2, then we definitely start sweeping. Ice Fang is there for that Garchomp. It's also there for the Zapdos. And then you've got Waterfall and Crunch, obviously, to kind of counter everything else. No Earthquake, though. I didn't really see the point of Earthquake this week. As much as it does obviously counter, I think 3 or 4 members of his team, Waterfall and Crunch can do the same thing. So I just thought Ice Fang's I need Ice Fang because otherwise I cannot handle that Garchomp as well. So Ice Fang's too good. Obviously, it's only 95% accurate, so we have got to be careful, but it's so much better. It's so much good. So max attack, max speed, standard stuff. And last but not least, we're bringing Mr. Gold, our beautiful Crocodile, Scarf, Intimidate, Earthquake Knockoff, Iron Tail, and Superpower. Superpower is there for that, what do you call it? Sneasel. Because with Scarf, we outspeed. Unless he goes for Ice Shot, obviously, then we get hurt. But Intimidate will obviously hinder it a little bit. And one Superpower, gone. Iron Tail is specifically there for that Aromatisse, in case it does start setting up specially. But Iron Tail is going to be very tricky because it's only 75% accurate. So I have done a few practice matches, and 3 out of the 4 matches I've done, I missed all my Iron Tails. So it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky, but it is what it is. It's RNG, hacks, it is what it is, but moving on. And then we've got Earthquake and Knockoff just to kind of, obviously, once again, to counter and get around everything else. So that's our team. I'm very excited for this week's team. I think we've got a lot of counters. I think we're covering our weaknesses very well. Our biggest problem is going to be that Garchomp. If we can't get that Garchomp lowered in speed with webs, it's going to sweep and we're going to lose because I have nothing that can outspeed it. Absolutely nothing. I'd have to really like sacrifice mons to chip it down so much. So it's going to be tricky, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it, and I think we could try and maybe find a way to take it down, plus the rest of it. So hopefully we can come out with a W. Hopefully we can make playoffs, but who knows? Who knows? If you have any thoughts and ideas on like what I could do to change this team, maybe make it better, let me know in the comment section down below. We've got one more week up ahead of us after this, and that team is looking very scary as well. We have very scary teams. I say that all the time, but we have very scary teams that we have to face each week. So, you know, each coach did very, very well. So, anyway, moving on. Thank you guys so much for your support. I hope you guys did enjoy this team builder. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below. Definitely subscribe if you are new. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. I'm SilverBeanie, and I'll catch all y'all beautiful people next time.